Big exciting news overnight as the president raises his deal offer to 1.9 trillion. But with Steve Mnuchin not confirming that number, Nancy Pelosi not confirming that number, and the only one talking about that number is Mark Meadows, who had inconsistent messages about Mitch McConnell all day Monday. Is the number really true? And will the president go to 2-0? And if Nancy Pelosi still rejects the president, then the focus of this channel is the timing of an October surprise. You know what I'm about to say. Executive order MSCs on Wednesday, 24 hours before the presidential debate. This is the continuation of Early Mornings LALATE. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Early Mornings LALATE with part 2, our bottom of the hour broadcast at the 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time slot, 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. It's dark here on the West Coast, but I hope you are safe on the East Coast. Your toast is toasting, your butter is buttering, I'm here, you're here, and the bacon's brewing. No, the bacon's grilling. The moment in which our bacon's brewing, I think we should just turn it in. Why is the bacon brewing itself? That doesn't make sense. But I really appreciate you for tuning in. On Early Mornings LALATE, if you're new to our enhanced experience, this is a premiere broadcast. And so hence it's a premiere broadcast. You can see on the right side, there is a live chat. You're watching this video for the very first time with your friends, and you can live chat on the right with your Purple Power family as you're holding your coffee and enjoying the new day. So go to the right and chat there as much as drop comments below so I see them tomorrow. With that excitement, let's get to the developments in this recording. In this recording, I'll be going over why Mark Meadows is certainly under fire for disclosing that $1.9 trillion figure yesterday, and why he was certainly the subject of discussion that perhaps he was not being truthful on the Mitch McConnell twist about Senate approval for a stimulus deal. Next, I will be going over one facet of why the end of today is actually quite exciting. Because if Nancy Pelosi shuts the door on the president, says, you know what, no more stimulus chat until after the election, it tees up an executive order like you've never seen something tee up for Wednesday, right before the presidential debate on Thursday. But next, I'll go over a big article in the New York Times, which certainly has not been the favorite of the president at any time, that says that the president has had problems with messaging during this campaign, and that he's defaulting to sort of scandal stories, Biden's son's stuff, and is not really focusing on economic agenda, and as a result is potentially not bringing in undecided voters who are really focusing to see where you're going to do something for our economy. Instead, he's focusing more on scandals and salacial national choir-ish type stuff. And finally, I'll be going, of course, over your MSCs. All right, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news is that Mark Meadows is really sort of being questioned overnight as you started Tuesday morning about whether or not he was consistent or inconsistent on his message of support for a second stimulus package among GOP leaders. If you don't know what I'm referring to, last night in Evenings LA, Monday night, I talked about how Mark Meadows said that he spoke to Mitch McConnell, and Mitch McConnell said, if there's a deal between you and Pelosi, I will put it to a vote on the Senate floor. A very firm statement. Not just introduce the bill, but put it to a vote. Well, throughout the rest of the day, Mark Meadows was interviewed about the exact same question and gave totally different answers. One time in the day, Mark Meadows said that Senate Republicans have been very vocal that they don't like anything even above 1.5. That they're not even happy at a dollar figure even close to 1.8 trillion, and that Trump has been told not to go higher, but it has gone higher. He told reporters outside the White House early Monday, I can tell you this, that there's some in the Senate who would support it. Whether or not there's enough votes to get the 60 vote threshold, that's up to Leader McConnell. That is not the same type of statement he got later in the day. Alex Burns for the New York Times said, I reported over the weekend, it's likely that Mark Meadows will not have that job much longer because all he consistently does is undercuts Trump's stated position on economic stimulus. Shahil Kapoor said that White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows sounded a note of caution on any COVID relief deal. Quote, the Senate Republicans have been very vocal in terms of their lack of support of that number, and it isn't even to what the president has already supported at the $1.8 trillion range. As you start the new morning, we're at 1.9. Meadows has said that Trump hasn't been calling any senators because they don't even know the merits of the deal, and that ultimately it's up to Mitch McConnell, who's actually more focused on getting himself reelected. If this sounds a little confusing and a little disconcerting, ultimately the issue is, who do you believe? President Trump has said in no less than 4 interviews in 4 days he will get the Republicans in the Senate to approve what he wants if he has a deal with Nancy Pelosi in what he said 2 minutes. That's not what Mark Meadows says on the White House lawn 24 hours later. And this is a consistent behavior between Mark Meadows and the president, where Mark Meadows says something much more negative than what the president says, completely contradicting his boss. So who do you believe? My point is very simple. If there is no deal by the end of today, then ultimately what you'll see is a real push to get executive orders. It makes inherent sense that the president should do executive orders on Wednesday if he has the door from Nancy Pelosi slammed shut in his face Tuesday night. Today is Tuesday. Nancy Pelosi's 48-hour deadline, self-created, manufactured, what is she talking about deadline, expires tonight. And by that accord, that means that if there's no deal, the president has to do something else. And that something else is blaming Nancy Pelosi and turning around and giving relief to the Americans that need it the most. $800 trillion of unused PPP money is sitting there for the president to repurpose. He can use it. He can repurpose. He's done repurposing the money before. He can do it again. It's not in Treasury. He does not need act of Congress. There's enough money for 2 rounds of stimulus checks, and there's enough money for another round of FPUC unemployment benefits. And imagine the messaging from a man who loves messaging, from a man who loves reality TV, that the woman shut the door on me last night. I gave her exactly what she wanted. I gave her 2. I gave her 2-1. I gave her 2-1-1-5. And what did she want? I want another $200,000. You didn't give it. I wanted an extra $25. You didn't have the extra $25. Shut the door on me. Well, what did I do? I did executive orders. And guess where you're going to see me next? Tomorrow night on the presidential debate. It sounds totally perfect. But is the president really focused on that? A new article out of the New York Times says that the president's dealing with a big problem of bad messaging during his campaign. Mr. Trump's campaign manager, Bill Stepien, has maintained to senior Republicans that the president has a path forward in the race, but at times has conceded it's narrow. The issue at hand is whether or not Trump is not staying on strategy. What the New York Times article discusses, and of course the New York Times and the president have been at odds for many, many years, is that Trump is spending most of his time on these campaign stops talking about Hunter Biden and scandal, and rarely talking about what you're going to do with the economy. And the mixed messaging and the false narratives of how great the economy is and how rich everyone is and how many Bentleys you have in the driveway doesn't work anymore because people don't have that. They all understand that they're unemployed, that they don't have their stimulus check. David Kochel, a Republican strategist in Ohio, says a lot of Republican consultants are frustrated because we want the president's campaign to be laser focused on the economy. The best message is Trump built a great economy and that COVID-19 damaged it, and Trump is a better option than Mr. Biden to restore it. Our base loves the stuff our base loves the stuff about Hunter Biden, laptops, and Mayor Giuliani, but they're already voting for Trump. What the article talks about is that Trump leads, and this is not a dispute, Trump leads Biden in all major polls when asked about who would you choose to deal with the economy. And this is even after news that broke earlier over yesterday afternoon, where Biden allegedly is going to tax people at a 60% tax rate in the state of California and New York if you make over $400,000 a year. I mean, say numbers. Even before you even get to that, Trump beats Biden on economic ideas. And with Nancy Pelosi holding up your stimulus, I think it's sort of easy to pitch that the Democrats aren't dealing with economics that well. But the article says that that Stepan and other campaign leaders, including Jason Miller, have stressed to Republicans in Washington that Trump will outperform the polls, but there's a frustration that he's not focusing on stimulus enough. And that goes back to people that ask me on a daily basis, why hasn't he done it? Why has he done it? Why has he not done the stimulus? There's a concern, at least in this New York Times article, that the president appears to have doubled down on a base election strategy while Republicans down ballot must figure out a way to appeal to independent voters in states like North Carolina, Maine, and Michigan. Basically saying that those swing states where Trump is behind 8 points, 6 points, 7 points, he's not staying on message about stimulus. He's focusing on laptops and Giuliani and Hunter. And Americans want to know, when are you giving me my stimulus? How much enhanced unemployment benefits are you giving me? Where's my hazard pay? Where is why did you have a cap on my EIDL loan? Where is my EIDL grant? Why did you veto Carranza not give me the remainder of my $10,000 EIDL grant? Why is my workplace so unsafe? Those type of questions. How much money for testing and tracing? How much money for my kid? Why is my kid only get a $500 stimulus check? People want these questions answered. This is not a normal environment. This is an environment in which people want their stimulus answered. And that things like what happened last night doesn't help the president. The president last night says, I want to give a bigger stimulus package than Nancy Pelosi. Well, she's a 2-2. So what does that mean? You're going to go to 2-5? I want to give a bigger stimulus package than Nancy Pelosi. I want to give it bigger and bolder and more beautiful. It's just, okay. I still can't see my stimulus check in my hand. So, and you're still smaller than 2-2. You're at 1-9. So it's those type of things that people are just a little perplexed about. Ultimately, what's important to understand is that MSCs are the push of this channel. Multiple stimulus checks. Purple Power, do your thing. It's early morning. I know you're not, doing your tweeting campaigns, while you're having your coffee and not burning the bacon, because gotta leave some for me. But, it's important to understand that executive orders should still be the focus, because there is a potential that this will all implode by the end of today. Let me go with some of your incredible questions from last night. Teresa Northcutt, much is trying to reallocate our money for PPP. If you watch McConnell versus Trump, it's in the links above. I went over that last night. 425 Lover. Okay, Trump, you said you go higher. How about this time you go higher to actually go directly to the American people? Multiple stimulus checks, hazard pay, and unemployment back to July when it ran out. Give the American people the help they need and deserve. Americans are really suffering. You think he's part of the Purple Power? I love you, 427 Lover. Boy, he could not have said it better. I mean, I'm reading this a cold read, so I've never seen this comment before till right now. Absolutely incredible. Karen Holland, she clearly doesn't care about children. Christine Bradford, just curious why the Democrats and the Republicans have been arguing about the stimulus package. How many people have lost their homes and cars and jobs? Senator Harris, the VP nominee, in May said you needed $2,000 every month for 6 months because at that time, 30% of Americans were facing eviction. At that time. Peggy House, he should have done executive orders with the money he has control over. He's way too long. Patrick Spicer, I'm just sitting here drinking my Coke, and I'm so broke, it ain't a joke. Linda Cole, good morning, everybody. Nancy's so stuck on herself. medullas. It's truly what is a truly bipartisan comment, but it's really horrible and actually kind of spooky. It's literally not. They're putting their face without trying. Karen Smith, who's running the White House? Nancy and President Ben Hurt. Is Washington D.C. going to be able to handle the large group of newly unemployed people on November 4th? Lewis, term limits for the Democrats, Republicans, and Independents. Get rid of these bombs. Donald Adis, this little stimulus of mine. I'm going to get in, and sign all this little stimulus. Oh, I'm going to sign it. I love that. Helen, they just talk, and gets nothing done. Edward Brerenger. So they agree people need stimulus, and then they need them now. Great. Get them right out now so they can get work on the other issues later. Take care of the priority first thing. The rest is not as important as the people who have been hurting far longer. I love that. I did that in last night's broadcast. I talked about how all these people had trying to come in and jump ahead of you. The airlines trying to jump ahead of you. The hotel and hospitality trying to jump ahead of you. And next week, there'll be someone else trying to jump ahead of you. Daniel Corrado, she said Sunday the issue may and not shall. May versus shall, so they can use the money for COVID-19. It's personally reasonable that Nancy holds out for this language. It's likely selling real estate in the contract, saying, okay, so this person's defending Nancy Pelosi's use of the word shall and may. Well, good. How about you shall send out our multiple stimulus checks rather than you may? And how about you shall not be Speaker of the House after the election? What a day it's going to be. This corn, there's me, there's you, there's a purple power, and there's hopefully some bacon left over. So I really appreciate you for tuning in for Early Mornings LALATE. I hope you enjoyed the live chat on the ride. It's the experience of a premiere, and it's here every morning at 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Coming up next is Mornings LALATE at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in because that will be the big comprehensive recording. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and go to the front channel, subscribe. Almost forgot to say it. Go to the front channel, subscribe. 300,000 subscribers, baby. We're almost there. Let's get to it. Also, like this video. Again, as always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay LA for more.